stories like the death of Freddie Gray in Baltimore, and more recently Laquan McDonald in Chicago, are raising a lot of questions about police training.
News 8's Jason Newton did some digging tonight. He talked to an expert to find out more about how police are trained to handle those deadly situations. He's live in the studio with more. Jason.
Darren, it's the most dreadful situation a police officer can encounter, one where he must decide in a split second whether or not to draw, then fire his weapon. We spoke to one former police officer who's pulled the trigger before and says it's all a matter of training. Vincent Riccio is a former sergeant with New Haven Police who is now certified by the state to train security officers. The recent video release showing a Chicago police officer open fire on 17-year-old Laquan McDonald made him question that department's training.
I don't believe the officers are being aware of how many bullets they're actually discharging under the stress that they're under.
Riccio joined the force when cops still carried 6-shooter revolvers, and they needed to be cautious about how many bullets they fired. In contrast, McDonald was hit by 16 shots, all from the same gun, many of those coming after he falls to the ground.
We were trained to fire twice and reevaluate. And I think that's gotten forgotten in the day and age of semi-automatic weapons, where they, instead of saying fire twice, reevaluate, they now say fire until the threat is over.
During one wild night in New Haven in 1991, Riccio was shot at and stabbed by 2 different suspects. He wasn't hurt, but in both cases, he decided not to fire his weapon. He credits good training for his restraint.
An awesome responsibility for an officer that's discharging his weapon. And there are so many decision-making processes that goes into that it needs to be part of their training to become instinctual rather than making a decision at the time.
Now, Riccio says when he was stabbed, the knife blade broke on his bulletproof vest. He received the Medal of Valor for his actions that night. Live in the studio, Jason Newton, News 8.